In this video, we're going to discuss cross tabulations, or known as for short as crosstabs. Crosstabs organize two variables into one frequency table. So here we have a data table where each row is one person. And we know two pieces of information about each of these people. We know what their preference is for Hulu and Netflix, and if they are a male or a female. So we have two pieces of information, and our crosstab is going to tell us how many of each category corresponds to the others. So on our first row, our first column here, we're going to list the two options in the first variable, which are Hulu and Netflix. In the first row, in the top here, we're going to put our two options for our second variable, which are male and female. Okay? So these are the column labels, and these are the row labels. These are labeling this row, and this is labeling this column. Each of these blocks on the inside where these two variables intersect is called a cell. And each cell will have a number based on how many people correspond to that pairing. So in our first cell here, we have male and Hulu. So let's count how many males prefer Hulu. So here's one, right? Male, Hulu. 2, 3. It looks like 3. It looks like there are 3 males that prefer Hulu. Okay? Now let's look for males that prefer Netflix. 1, 2, 3. Also 3, right? So that finishes the male cells. Now let's go to the female cells. Let's look for how many females prefer Hulu. So, nope. 1, 2, 2. So 2 females prefer Hulu. Let's see how many females prefer Netflix. That's the last cell. 1, 2, 3, 4. So there are 4 females who prefer Netflix. Now that we have the cells filled out, we can do the marginals. Marginals are the totals for each row and each column. So let's do the column marginal for male. All we do is add up the cells under male. So that's 3 plus 3 equals 6. The column marginal for female is 2 plus 4, which is 6. Now let's do the row marginals. 3 plus 2, that is 5. And 3 plus 4 is 7. Okay? Now, to get the total, which is down here, that's how many people were in our data. We're just going to add these two numbers together to get 12. And it should be exactly the same as these two numbers together, which is 5 plus 7, which is also 12. So we did that correctly. This is a completed crosstab. Now, we have our column labels, our row labels, our cells, and our marginals. Okay? What we can also do is do row percentages and column percentages. So row percentages are when we take each row and see what percent of all Hulu watchers are male and what percent of all Hulu watchers are female. So how we get row percentages is we take the cell and we divide it by the row marginal. So to get the row margin, or to get the row percentage for Hulu male, we would take 3 and divide it by 5. 3 divided by 5 is 60%. Well, it's 0.6, which will convert to a percent. 60%. Okay? Now we do 2 divided by 5, and that gives us 40%. Okay? So that is the row percentages for Hulu. The Hulu row percentages. 60% of Hulu watchers are male, and 40% of Hulu watchers are female. Now let's do the same for Netflix. So 3 divided by 7 would be how to find the percentage of Netflix watchers that are male, and that is 43% approximately after rounding. Okay? So that's how many percent of Netflix watchers are male. Now let's do the row percentages for Netflix and female. 4 divided by 7 is 57% approximately after rounding. Okay? So here, 43 and 57 are our row percentages for Netflix. So that is 43% of Netflix watchers are male. 57% of Netflix watchers are female. Now to get column percentages, we do the cell divided by the column marginal. Okay, so that's going to be what percent of males watch Hulu and what percent of males watch Netflix. That's different from what percent of Hulu watchers are male and what percent of Hulu watchers are female. So to get the male column percentages, we're going to do 3 divided by 6, which is 50%, because 3 is half of 6, right? So to get the percent of males who watch Netflix, we're going to do the same. 3 divided by 6 is 50%. Okay? Now let's do the female column percentages. 2 divided by 6 is 33.3%, and 66.7% of females watch Netflix. Okay? So column percentages tell you what percent of the column variable is in each of the row variables, and row percentages tell you what percent of each row variable is in each of the column variables. Alright, so Hulu watchers, 60% of them are male, 40% of them are female. Males, 50% of them watch Hulu and 50% of them watch Netflix. So that's it. That's all for cross tabulations. Just remember, row percentages is the cell divided by the row marginal, and column percentages are the column, or the cell minus divided by the column marginal. That's it. Hope this helps.